Oh, we're live. Dream recall. Yeah, it was a strange one this morning, and fairly lucid. This isn't the first time I've had a dream where I could feel. I'll explain as we go, but it's very strange. Cat. Very strange. So it felt like I was at a class in a man's mansion, and it was a huge mansion, and there's like this conference room type thing where there's where a choir would stand, like three tiered stage, and it was very odd because there's like one big the main tier, and then there was a smaller one that's like only enough for like standing room if everybody stands in a line, and then another one where everyone stands in a line, and then it was like a 20-foot drop. Yeah, it'd be like, imagine you're falling from like a second floor balcony if you're inside a mansion and you're looking down into another room, like that height, like from the second story. And the I was on like the third tier, that's like right before this unbanistered drop on like the outer corner, and like everyone else was up on like the main tier, and I was just like, it was like we had just finished uh it was almost like a graduation, or like we just did like if I had been singing, we would have just finished like a practice before like a concert thing, and we're all just kind of like hanging around, and there's like, a conductor or teacher that's or an assistant. There's like a woman who's an assistant walking around in the main viewing area, which is like 20 feet down. So I'm looking down, and I'm just like standing there waiting, and then a guy walks up to me on the same level of what I imagine be like the director, and he hands me a sheet of paper, and he's like, "I'll give you $5 if you finish this," or something like that. And it's like very clear that like this is a side task to the main thing that's going on. It's not really like needs to be completed, but somehow it helps him out or something. And he's like, "I'll give you $5 if you finish this." And then it was there's something about like, otherwise you'll fill your shoes with piss or something like that, or like somehow it was implied that if I didn't do the paper, I would freaking piss into my shoes as I'm wearing them and fill them up. It's very strange. Like piss down my legs and fill my shoes up. And I just kind of like laughed and was like, whatever. And then that was the end of a scene. And then I assume I'm in like the same house. And I'm like, it's like as if I slept on the floor. And like uh, I'm going to pick up the stuff that I left while I was sleeping, and it was like a pile of money, which was strange. Uh, a bunch of like framed photographs, and then like like a piece of screening for like a window screen cut into like a strip that's just kind of like a odd thing out, and then like suddenly I'm like zooming in on the photos, and for some reason it was like so first I see like a picture of what looks uh like a it's like a man in a suit, but for some reason I have like the idea that like this is a government official, and like it's almost as if I was like suddenly I went from like looking at my stuff to I was like peeping something. Like I was like these weren't necessarily my like that picture was not mine. And then there's like another where it was like uh, clearly like what you would call a witch. Like she had a huge crooked nose, and it was like smashed in, like she had her nose broken or something to the side. So it was like freaking curved, and she's like very like looking. Like people don't generally have oddities like that, but this is like a truly unique birth oddity and like face. Most people just have normal faces, and she was like it looked like a family portrait, and I think it was like kind of me in my teenage years, and then this lady, and like at first I was like, "What the heck is that? My mom?" Like it was like looking at pictures that I had never seen before because it's in a dream, and I was like started tripping out like really hard, and then I look at another one, and it's like a picture of my mom, and she's just like playing a bass guitar. It really doesn't make sense, and it was like a video picture, like a like those digital picture things, and yeah, like clearly my mom was just like noodling, but like I don't know, knew how to play kind of, even though she doesn't play musical instruments. But the weirdest part was the first where it was like I was taking a picture with this woman with the crooked nose as if she was my mother, and then the other picture of my mom was just like separated, like like it was like I don't know. I have a very non-personal relationship with my mom. Like I don't know. It's weird, and it's kind of like a adopted what it would feel like to be adopted. I think, and so then like there's this final picture that I'm looking at, and then I see this like it looks like it's like a specialized remote, and it has like a button and a sliding trigger, and I'm like looking at this, and then it's like there's a light on it that starts flashing, and then I like look over the edge of the desk, and there's like some kind of mechanism on the back with like a red button. It's like what do you imagine to like buzz somebody into your office or something, and suddenly I'm like whoa whoa whoa, and the thing starts like beeping aggressively, and it was like I at this point there's like nobody else in the room after being like it'd be kind of like at the end of a class, you're like the only one in a classroom. Like it could have been I was like at the teacher's desk kind of thing. And then like I see this button, I'm like, oh shite. And then like in the real world, I'm feeling like my whole body being like electrocuted. It's the only like it almost is like what I imagine, like you're trying to get back into your waking body with your astral body, and like you're basically teleporting faster than you're supposed to. And it was like I was like letting out this crazy scream, like I was getting like electrocuted, like and and I just like rocketed awake. But it was the strangest thing. Like I felt it in my satchel, if you know what I'm saying, and like it was like electrical burning, and this was in my physical body as I'm waking up, and it was like from there, like up through the chakra system, and I was just like, but it was strange because it was like as if in the dream I was like not supposed to be in that place, and I was like there as like an astral projected uh, thought form, and like I was doing like freaking. It's like I wasn't supposed to be there, and that translated into my physical body somehow. And this isn't the first. Like I've had dreams where I wake up and like I had one where it was like I was getting a drill like straight through my third eye, and it was like I woke up and it was like vibrating, and yeah, I've had others where like another dream. This I was like in a garage working, and this cat comes up with a bat and just like slams. No, not a bat. He just like punches me in the back of the head, and I just fell to the ground. Not like a critical knockout, but just like pure force of being hit in the head and then hitting the ground. I was fine, but it was like my whole head was like it's exactly the same as getting punched in the head. And I'm starting to wonder if like I'm in like a mildly physical space, and I haven't had all of these dreams of this sort have started happening in the past like year. Previously, I haven't had dreams since like I was a child, and I generally like just shut them off because I was like I only had nightmares. Generally only have nightmares, and it was very odd. But the weird thing about this one where I'm in like this mansion was like that electrocution point, and like it kind of ties into so I was doing like this ET research stuff I always have, but I got like a big notch where so they're talking about the Dulce underground base in like New Mexico, and so the Scientology there's like a Scientology temple that's like uh I forget how far it was in kilometers too, which is strange. They said it was like 1,000 kilometers maybe, and then in that same bubble of distance is also Epstein's Zorro Ranch, and this tied into there's a guy who was killed trying to talk about like the underground bases that they discovered while tunneling in Mexico or in New Mexico, and like they had been tunneling and then they like broke through, and there was like a bunch of ETs of some sort underground, and these cats like the ETs were like not even close to human. Like there's a lot of talk about like humanoid aliens, but these were not at all. And like they were like it's like breaking into a hornet's nest, and that he had to like launch back up the mining elevator, and like he had a soldier with him who was shooting, and he got like his hand uh like he lost a bunch of fingers, I think is what it was. And and he has, you can find this guy. I probably should look up his name. Yeah, for continuity, let's look up his name. Hold on. Um, Paul Benowitz. Yeah, Paul Benowitz. It's a pretty crazy story if you want to look it up. But for some reason, I got the man. That's a crazy weird picture of him. Whoa. Whoa. Well, okay. Anyway, so I felt somehow that like this was connected to like Epstein and stuff, and like this was a weird like. Uh, so Epstein talked about he wanted to like reseed humanity at the end of the world, which is very strange. With the fact that it's connected, well, if there was an underground facility in this area, it would very easily connect to the Zorro Ranch and the Scientology uh, headquarters. And it's very odd. For some reason, I was like, in my dream, it was like this was all connected. And I've had like UFO experiences, but it's very strange. Like I'm definitely not. I've never like I'm not actually an orphan or anything like that. And by the time I moved to the U.S., I was like 4, and yeah, I would never be part of something like that. But it had that vibe, and this might be an example of like a dream's a dream, and this is kind of just like a psychological manifestation. I don't think this is like a prophetic dream or like uh, necessarily something to like observe and remember, but it's mostly the way I was able to remember the exactitudes of like the house and the way it was decked out, and in ways that I've never actually seen before ever or experienced anything like that. But it was like I was able to like I've never ever in my life seen an office with like a button to like trigger the entry door. Like I've never been in an office like that. I've never been like uh, in a mansion before, um, and it's very strange. And like the fact that it was like somehow a school type thing is kind of odd. And I definitely think like if you if you start getting into like the UFO phenomenon, uh, religious studies, and like intelligence, if you start studying that triad, you start entering into uh, places like this, and like where the invisible college, where that kind of thing would be possible, because like it would make sense that the intelligence agencies have learned how to interact with like you know God's invisible college, and it's very interesting. I don't know why I associate this with because it's a dream. But one of the other interesting things was like this Sufi teacher that I really like, Sufi Sheikh, was talking about Jesus cat. Um, like as you learn about things in the material world, your soul will learn from like your higher self will learn things that your lower self is physically learning, and then as you're sleeping, your soul will be like speaking to God and be like, "Hey, I want to learn about this," or like whatever it happens to be. And it's a very interesting thing. Like it speaks to the Jewish concept of the animal soul and the divine soul. Like if you never crack open and awaken your divine soul, you'll never know that like basically every night in your sleep you like do a review or like go somewhere else, and like you can have dreams of your animal soul and learn with your animal soul, like how to work on home repair or work on a car or whatever. But then you can also reach a elevated point of like religious studies where like you're actually studying in another reality about your existence on earth. Like you're able to you realize that there's actually two souls that you're working, not souls, but like there's two aspects of self. There's like your body, mind, animal consciousness, and then there's like your actual like avatar that's driving the meat suit. And like when you're in a waking state like this right now, you're generally not aware of like the unless you do like meditation, you can enter the soul. But while you're like awake, you're fully conscious in your body mind. And it's a very, very, very strange uh, sense and sensation. And oh man, it's something like it's lightly talked about. Like people talk about the lower self and the higher self, and yeah, like it goes like I'm basically an idiot. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not an idiot, but I'm not a very learned person in like the physical. But it feels like in the divine world, like I'm like very, very, very well to do. It's a strange like continuity. It's almost like I was like, all right, I'm gonna incarnate as like a regular fucking person, just like the most standard motherfucker ever. Just to like instead of being like in a royal family or something, you're experiencing a different uh, avenue of life of like the regular person, almost as like a karmatic, a karma, like a result of karma, and like man, these realities, it's so crazy to experience, and it's like, yes, give me more of that, please. You start to realize the world is like who cares? This other thing is so much more real and so much more epic, and I don't fully understand how that is. But like human society would totally transform if they became aware of this. Like basically it's like you're in school for getting to like a new plane of reality. And like basically what we're doing here is kind of like milling around. It's like a place to like a sandbox where you can like it's like a lobby for different aspects. Like some people will become like soldiers and they learn about like that part of life, and some people will go into like religious studies, and some people will become scientists and like engineers. And it's crazy. And I really don't know if people are aware of this or talk about this really. It seems like this Sufi teacher really gets it, and like that's what they're aiming for. It's like what you do when you serve God. It's like you're basically drawing down from that higher place and trying to bring it into this world. And it feels like that's what everybody should be doing, but we've built a society where like we have to live in this world to experience that world. So we have to like divide our time between the two, and like you got to focus on, most people decide to like focus on this life when this life is not the thing you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on the higher, like you have to build your soul, which is such a crazy concept. And like, yeah. And I think that's kind of what this dream is like synthesizing. And like if we were to, if there was disclosure and like ET, like super open, like floodgates, fully open contact, most people would like completely lose the capacity to focus on what their life is now, and they would, everything would like change to such a degree it would collapse things, because it's like you'd have such an explosion of like, oh my god, that it would like just totally freaking detonate the way the system works. Like, you know, teachers wouldn't show up to school and freaking, you know, all this stuff. Like it would be a chain reaction of mess. So like they're slowly dripping out that like these realities exist, and that we're trying to, this is like creating the new earth, is that you're gaining awareness of that, that you're working towards. And like the religious books talk about this, but we've become so materialistic that we've never been able to like properly comprehend what's written in those books. And like a lot of, like if you're born into like if you're born into a Jewish family and you study Torah from the day you're born, and you might understand this better than like the general, like everybody I went to high school with and everything probably would not understand. Hang on, I'll be right back. I gotta be right Okay, so like the realization that I'm having here is that so like we've misunderstood the way the system works. So like the kingdom of heaven is within you. And what that means is like the only way you're going to get into heaven is you have to like train your cycles, your mind body spirit complex to be able to like you're perceiving a non-physical reality, and like you get glimpses of it when you're in dreams, and like as you wake up, so to speak, you're becoming more aware of the fact that like you've basically like through initiation you're opening up the gates to understanding of like how truly immense the mental plane is, and like the physical world is so there's a lot of new age conspiracy talk that people are like, why do they call earth a school, and why is like everything we learn you can learn within a lifetime, why do you do it lifetime after lifetime? You're learning. Not everyone gets to the state of actual learning. The way we have the world set up now is only a very uh, foundational level of this true system that actually operates. Like most of human society has never known how to read or write for the past, it was only left to like the most learned people. But now most of society knows how to read and write and learn. So like basically we've gone from like we're reaching the completion stage of the physical only realm, where like most people what they learn is like how to wake up and interact with other people, and like how to farm and how to like trade and everything, but they don't learn hardly anything about the psycho spiritual metaphysical domain, like the parapsychological uh, non-physical plane. And I think it's in that space where you start getting interplanetary and intergalactic. Like when you space travel, generally, I think not even generally, like there isn't inner solar system, uh, at least for our level of development, there isn't space travel that goes like out of our solar system. And like if there is any of that, it's like very small, and it's like the highest form of beings are interacting as like think of it as like God's God's secret service. Hang on. Let me do my report to the government. You know how it goes. Nice. So, so think of it as like so. There's a program called Solar Warden, and in that name, you're able to start to understand that, like, the people call this a prison planet, and it's when you look at prisons and schools, they're really not that much different. And that concept applies to the greater reality of Earth much more because we're, according to Joseph Farrell, there's evidence that we're under like a planetary quarantine because, our human society blew up a planet and wrecked the solar system. And we're building back up to this interplanetary space, but we have to like redevelop our consciousness, everything. And this is so hard to talk about. Um, so, like, basically, the the people who can go out and in of the solar system are like the highest form of like the United Nations, we'll just say, of like, or like the diplomatic, like, uh, international diplomats, and these people are like controlling this quarantine as we develop because we have like so many nuclear weapons that like we could easily create like a massive problem with this like force that what we would perceive as like slave masters, but that's not really what they're doing. Like it's much more of like we could easily reach that level, but we have to get our shit together first down here. And like we're 100 years into the new Dwarpa Yuga, and so like when you're freaking as you're on Earth, you can take a mystical path where you start to learn about the non-physical, and you leave behind uh, like all of the material reality, and you start learning about the higher place, which is more real than this is real, which is the strange part. And from this place, like it's so much more populated and like uh, developed. Like it's hard to explain, but it requires like a much more developed being. Like most people are like barely developed enough to work their job and like uh, come home and sleep. Strangely, like they don't have much expanded awareness. Like it's you could barely get somebody to like think about politics, let alone like non-physical politics that deals with like interplanetary freaking matters. And it's like, so we each have our own guardian angel, and there's like what Steiner calls archi, which are like archangels of a certain type. And like nations have these, and like political movements are generally led by like a spirit like this. And like there's all of this massive non-physical infrastructure that like facilitates all of the actual like interaction in the world. Like the the nations of the world and the politics of the world on a physical level are dictated by what's going on in the non-physical, and we have to deal with the effect, and that it comes from the causal realm, which is more real. And from this space, that's like that's where heaven is, and that will bleed into our reality. And at the same time, hell is also bleeding out. Like I don't know if it's hell is like released into, or if like there's a constant like vacuum from hell that's pulling people down into it. And this is so crazy. I don't even know where I'm getting this from. And so this like in a dream I've had years ago, I saw like what's called the extraterrestrial highway, which is just like it's in the non-physical, and it's like you can see like the hundreds and hundreds of ships that are constantly like going from like Earth. The way I saw it was Earth to the moon, and oh man, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Like when you really start looking at it, God is a non-physical being, but it's like he's like a and the Babylonians have the best like creation myth to understand this. When you start understanding like Enlil and Enki, you're starting to get to a much closer representation of what God is. And like Yahweh is another character on this level of reality, on like the God plane. And there are many, many gods. And like they all it gets very confusing because I think that even calling the reason why the Jews don't call Yahweh Yahweh is because that instantly makes it idolatry, because it blocks you from the fact that this is really a demigod, and the true God is the source of all creation, including the gods and the demigods and all this down the line. And like we can't physically comprehend that because we can't even comprehend something we don't see. And so basically Yahweh is like he's not the prime creator, but he's the god of the Western religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity. And like for whatever reason, these three religions have had the most trouble with idolatry. And Hinduism isn't necessarily correct, but the only reason it still exists is because they have a proper understanding of the hierarchy and the trinity between Shiva, Krishna, and hold on, let's get the Hindu trinity. It might be Vishnu. Uh, oh my god. Yeah, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Holy moly. And oh, this is so hard to explain. So the only reason Hinduism, which is still kind of polytheistic, exists and is not an idolatrous religion, although it is. See, this is the interesting thing about all this is like the Greek pantheon collapsed for whatever reason. Zoroastrianism is supposed to have a resurgence of some sort. But there's something it's not broken in the sense the big three religions of the West aren't broken, but our interpretation has become clouded to the point where it's almost breaking down. And there is like the way it's taught and the inheritance of that knowledge has become so like they're focused on the wrong things to the point where it almost destroys like the original meaning and becomes something else which is toxic. And because like openly Islam is honestly the least corrupted of the three, because like Islam acknowledges that Jesus was a prophet, Moses is a prophet. The five they talk about, I think, is Adam, Jesus, Moses, Noah, and Muhammad. Yeah. So like these are five eternal prophets. And so these prophets are all like it acknowledges, Islam was given to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, where the angel Gabriel gave him this knowledge. And in Christianity, they openly acknowledge that it's one of the three angels. There's Gabriel, Lucifer, and Michael. And beyond that, those three angels Satan is also acknowledged in these three religions. And so they're really all the same religion. They're just different aspects of it, talking about different. Oh, man. It's like different aspects of the same thing. Yes, kitty cat, I'm really going deep into the core of the mind. Oh. So the point here is that there's no reason for any of them to be fighting, because it's all the same God talking to the same prophets and bringing the same knowledge that's supposed to be used by everyone. But they're all checks and balances on each other, so we don't have a totalitarian thing, because God isn't a tyrant. And like that's gotten so mixed up because of the evil force that like has corrupted our way of thinking about these things. Oh, I'm gonna pass out from this. And oh my god. So yeah, I'm gonna need to take a second after all this. Oh my god. So anyway, so this ties into there's a new prophet that's coming. Now, whether it's an antichrist figure or a false prophet is debatable. I think it all depends on the development of the character of the person who steps forward. And like oh man. So it's acknowledged by both other religions that there's going to be a Jewish prophet. Now, whether this Jewish prophet is good or evil, these two religions hold check on Judaism to make sure that it is, and that's why these other two exist. And no, that's not right. Inherently, each one exists as a check and balance upon the other, because we have a problem with power on this planet, and people will twist stuff for their own good endlessly, because there's never any satisfaction, no matter who you are. Everyone has this problem. So, the new Jewish prophet that's coming is going to be bringing another aspect of reality into knowledge. Now, there's a lot of talk about that it'll be building the third temple and stuff, but the real question is what knowledge will be facilitated through the third temple, and how will that affect the rest of the world? Because it will be the Antichrist if it's a guy that just goes into the third temple and is like a son of Belial who's like purely doing black magic for power purposes. But if it's somebody that's like truly in the arms of God, he will be bringing down another form of knowledge for the rest of the world to digest for another 500 years. And we need that. We need an update. It's all there. We have everything we need. The cycle is going to keep on cycling. But it's the last. So this image that I saw, the Sufi posted of the different prophets, is a diagram of the heart. Like Sufis have a unique chakra system only based on the heart. It's energy systems of the heart, and each one is related to a different prophet. And when he laid it out as these overlapping circles, and there's 5 of them, and there's one more, and then you have the sacred geometry of the seed of life that I wish I could screen share. Let me make sure. Geometry. Yeah. So it becomes a cube. Oh, 7 inner circles. 8 circles. Oh, seven inner circles and 1 outer circle. So there's 2 more. So we're on the 5th and we're going into the 6th. And this ties into Rudolf Steiner's understanding of the post-Atlantean epochs. And right now we're in the 5th. And so that's each circle represents a prophet, which represents an epoch since Adam fell. And we're 2 away from getting back to the garden fully developed as like, I don't know, God man, maybe. Or like back to God self. And this is like another, I forget what the time period is. I think it's a 28,000 year cycle or 24,000. Cycle 24,000, the great year. So we fell for 12,000 years, and now we're on the 12,000 years going up, and we're only 4,000 or 5,000 years into the 12,000 going up. So we're like barely at the midpoint of the rise. Teresa. Oh, is that German? Translate Teresa. Of the journey. Yeah. I don't speak German, but I can. Sometimes I'll just get words that I know, and holy shit! So okay, I don't know what the time gap between the different prophets is. Jesus to Muhammad was 800 years, I think, right? Uh, 570. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder. So this is kind of on a side note. I think there might be a new religion that emerges out of Australia, and that might be the New Age comes out of Australia because their teachers right now are very. They're not attached to the West, the idea of Christianity, Islam, and this, and they're on a very new line of thinking. And I think whatever truly new age will come out of there. And the U.S. doesn't do its thing for another while longer, for whatever reason. If you go by Steiner's cosmology, like right now is another. It's okay. So he talks about. Oh my God, this is getting really intense. Steiner's epochs. Uh, oh man. 7 cultural epochs. Let's see. Let's boom. Okay, come on. Just give me a freaking the simple graphic. Oh, oh, oh man. Okay, it started with India, and we developed the etheric body, and then it goes to the Persian epoch, and you develop the astral body, and then it goes to the Egypto-Chaldean Babylonian, which is like year zero Christianity. No, this is before. This is like the Jewish enslavement period, and then there you learn the sentient soul, which is when the ego started developing. And then the Greco-Roman epoch was the rational soul, which is like Christianity. And then next is the German Celtic epoch. And then it'll be the Serbian Russian epoch. And then the American epoch. And it'll be spirit, self, mana, life, spirit, Buddha, right? Booty. I can't read that. And then the American epoch, which is final, is the spirit, man, Atma. Oh my God, it's melting my brain. And so where this new Jewish prophet which I'd really like to see. Supposedly it's going to be a black man actually, with long black hair, supposedly. And I could see that. And Kisa, freaking cat, man, you're such a distraction. Stop. Stop. Oh man, I'll be right back. Oh. Yes. Oh man. Oh, okay. So Ah, what is this new prophet going to be? Is it going to be the Antichrist that really screws shit up? Or are we going to get a blooming of a new prophetic reconnection to God? I'd really like the Mosaic Messiah. I'd prefer that as opposed to a beatdown. We really don't need a beatdown. We just got to go on for 100 years. So yeah, that's my dream, and that's apparently all the information that came with it in that download, which is absolutely. I'm so tired after explaining all that. It was strange though. Okay, so like the past 2 nights, I literally could not sleep. Like I stayed up until 6 in the morning, and then slept for like 4 hours, and then I stayed up until 6 in the morning and slept for 4 hours, and like I'm not tired either, which is very strange. And yeah, it's crazy. Like I really don't know how to explain what's happening, but take the ball and run with it. Become God's right arm. Oh, oh my God. Oh, okay. So this is a critical. This isn't even necessarily related, but like what I'm doing with the intellectualization of all this is not necessary at all. Like it'll be much easier to watch it in retrospect than like try to roadmap out front, which like it's not necessary. There's some chapter in the Bible that says like do not prophecy. It's not or not do not prophecy, but do not like foretell the future. It's not necessary, and it's not like you won't get. It's ephemeral. Like it's not actualized yet. But oh yeah, whatever happens is going to be funky fresh 100 years. Whew. Yeah. But yeah, wild, wild, son. This whole thing has been wild. I think I should listen back because this is yeah, the Invisible College. Man, this is such a crazy download. What it is we're learning, I'm not quite there yet, but I think it's metaphysical, non-physical reality, and like the reality of the angels and demons, and we're that's already been written about, but like it's starting to become tangible and widely known. And somehow uh, DNA evolution is part of this. Bring space on. Bring out space, man. I want to space travel. Start laying the foundation for space travel, please. must go back. Like for if you read Gurdjieff, he's been talking about space travel before there was even space travel. He's talking about the spaceship Karnak and Beelzebub, and this is a being from Mars. And there's a lot of stuff in Gurdjieff that he talks about that has only now been starting to be proved by science, such as like we're three-brain beings. And one of the critical things is he talks about Beelzebub is only. I don't know if Beelzebub has two brains, but the brain of this being was different, which is to say that there are oh, there are beings that incarnate as humans who are not human in their design. And I think I might have talked about this. I think I had a sighting in Nibiru when all this started. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much burnt out with my talk for today. That's about an hour, which is a lot. Oh my god. Yeah, I think it would be cool if we start learning magic. Jaman. Man, this song's hard. Oh, sick energy download. Yes. Oh, I love that. I live for those moments where it feels like electricity goes over your energy body. Oh, I live for that. And freaking novel thoughts and assembling the future in the non-physical is so cool. So this is interesting. This is just a thought that came to my mind. So karma. I'm wondering if you can absorb bad karma to facilitate faster growth. Karma and spiritual growth. Yes. So if you absorb more karma, you can grow faster. And I've been doing that heavy. Yeah, son. Input reflector. Hell yeah, dude. Chill Sesh 9000 in full effect. Oh no, where's my recording window? Oh no. Oh no. Where are we at? Oh, it's on it. Oops. I'm an idiot. Okay. Oh. So yeah, let's Latifahs. This is the other thing I was saying. Yes. Latif. I think that's it. Yes. Latif Acita. This shit is so awesome, dude. Look that shit up. Naqshbandi Latifs. Oh, dude. So this is a Sunni tradition. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Yeah, man. Learn about the Latifs. Oh, there is 7 of them. Okay, so interesting. So epic. Dude, esoteric knowledge, so epic. Get your mind blown out here. Man. Shout out to the Sufis. Shout out to the esoterics, man. Willing to share beyond borders. Love that. I fucking love that. Oh, all right. I think I'm gonna leave it there because I'm fried from all this. After I listen to that song one more time. Man. So yeah, the different esoteric paths that you can undergo from the big 3 religions that I've found so far would be Kabbalah, this new one of the Sufis. I knew they had something, and that's it. The Latifs and the 7 special organs of perception of the subtle body. And then in the Christian tradition, you got the Grail mysteries. And some heavy knowledge that I can barely understand. But learn these things. Learn these things. There's so much epic knowledge out there. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Peace.